Downing Street is trying to give an impression of calm after a week of turmoil, but all the evidence is that Team Rishi is pat. Last Wednesday, after Prime Minister's questions, MPs in the House of Commons tea room looked up and were astonished to see the Prime Minister. Rishi Sunak was going from table to table schmoozing with Tory MPs, asking about their concerns and generally being affable. That almost never happens, noted one former cabinet minister. Prime ministers are very rarely seen in the tea room, especially invariably, the one reason prime ministers are sent to the tea room by their advisers is when they feel vulnerable to a plot. Most MPs present were in no doubt this was the case, with plotting against him in full swing after the reshuffle and sacking of now former Home Secretary Suella Braverman. But as one veteran Conservative MP noted, it's not just the right of the party, which is considering sending in letters. The whole range of opinion is worried and angry when they look at the polls and the prospects of them keeping their seats. So it is no surprise that, as one megapixel termed it, Operation Save Rishi Sunak is in full swing. Similar to Operation Big Dog to save Boris Johnson, here is what the Prime Minister and his allies are doing to save his political skin. Operation Schmooze. The Prime Minister's trip to the tea room in Parliament was not an isolated incident. Just a couple of days after he had been accused of giving up on the Red Wall, he was in Bassetlaw in the East Midlands with the local Tory MP Brendan Clark-Smith, a Boris Johnson ally, and Mansfield MP, as well as East Midlands Mayor candidate Ben Bradley. Both have been critics of the Prime Minister to different degrees and associated with those who want him out, but both, especially Clark-Smith, are believed to be in the group of being nervous about yet another change of leader and a winnable over. Not satisfied with that, invitations for private drinks in Downing Street are being sent out to potentially difficult MPs for the Prime Minister to discuss his Operation Red Meat. While it is true that MPs across the board are worried about the Prime Minister's leadership in light of polls so disastrous even he would lose his seat, there is no doubt that it is the right that poses the biggest threat. To counter this, the Prime Minister and his team are going out of their way to try to reassure the right that the fact he sacked Ms Braverman and tacked to the left does not mean he is not championing right-wing policy. For starters, after months of saying the government cannot afford tax cuts, the Chancellor suddenly last week started hinting there would be. Then today, in a hastily arranged speech, also part of a defensive rearguard, the Prime Minister confirmed Wednesday's autumn statement will feature tax cuts. As one Tory MP said, "For months they have said no to tax cuts, now all of a sudden by amazing coincidence we are going to get some. I wonder why. But it does not stop